Through royal windows, the mirror of modern monarchy in Princess Leonor and Sofia of Spain. The ornate mirrors of the royal palace of Madrid have witnessed centuries of Spanish royalty, but none quite like the reflection they capture today. In the gilded frames that once showed the faces of absolute monarchs and imperial rulers, two young women now gaze back: Princess Leonor, heir to the Spanish throne, and her sister Sofia, the spare. Yet what these mirrors reveal is not just the continuation of an ancient bloodline, but a complete transformation of what it means to be royal in the 21st century. When 16-year-old Princess Leonor steps before these ancestral mirrors, she sees not just her own image, but the weight of a nation's future reflected in her eyes. Behind her, often caught in the same reflection, stands her younger sister Sofia, 2 years her junior, yet equally vital to the story of modern Spanish royalty. Together, they represent something unprecedented, a generation of royals who must navigate between tradition and revolution, between the golden cages of protocol and the transparent windows of contemporary life. The window of succession, a new dawn for Spanish monarchy. The story of Princess Leonor begins not with her birth on October 31, 2005, but with a constitutional change that would reshape the Spanish monarchy forever. In 2006, just months after Leonor's arrival, Spain amended its constitution to establish absolute primogeniture, meaning the firstborn child, regardless of gender, would inherit the throne. This seemingly simple legal adjustment cracked open a window that had been sealed shut for centuries, allowing fresh air to flow through the musty corridors of royal tradition. Princess Leonor María de Todos los Santos de Borbón y Ortiz became, at birth, the first Spanish princess in history guaranteed to inherit the throne simply by virtue of being born first. Her sister, Infanta Sofia, born on April 29, 2007, would grow up knowing that her role was not to wait in the wings for her sister to falter, but to support her in an entirely new model of royal sisterhood. This constitutional change was more than legal housekeeping, it was a mirror held up to Spanish society itself. King Felipe VI, then Prince of Asturias, and Queen Letizia, a former journalist and commoner, had unknowingly conceived children who would embody Spain's evolving relationship with gender equality, democracy, and modernization. The mirrors of the palace now reflected not just royal blood, but the aspirations of a nation determined to leave behind the shadows of its authoritarian past. Reflections of a nation, the making of a modern heir. Growing up in the Zarzuela Palace, Princess Leonor has lived her entire life aware that every action, every word, every photograph would be scrutinized through the lens of public expectation. Yet rather than retreating behind the protective glass of royal isolation, she and her sister have been deliberately positioned at the windows of public life, visible and accessible in ways that would have been unthinkable for previous generations of Spanish royals. The education of Princess Leonor reflects this new transparency. Unlike her ancestors, who were tutored privately within palace walls, Leonor attended the Santa María de los Rosales school in Madrid, the same institution where her father studied. This choice sent a powerful message. The future Queen of Spain would be educated alongside her future subjects, sharing classrooms, friendships, and formative experiences with the children of doctors, teachers, and businesspeople. But it was her decision to continue her education at UWC Atlantic College in Wales that truly opened the windows of royal tradition to international winds. This choice, studying abroad at a school known for its emphasis on international understanding and social service, positioned Princess Leonor not just as Spain's future monarch, but as a global citizen. The mirrors of the Welsh castle where she studied reflected back a young woman who spoke multiple languages, understood diverse cultures, and grasped the interconnected nature of modern governance. Meanwhile, Infanta Sofia remained in Madrid, attending the same school where she and her sister had studied together. The geographic separation during these crucial teenage years created an interesting dynamic between the sisters, one experiencing the wider world, the other maintaining deeper roots in Spanish soil. Yet this apparent divergence would prove to strengthen rather than weaken their bond, as each brought different perspectives to their shared understanding of royal duty. Windows into character. Public moments, private growth. The Spanish public has watched Princess Leonor and Sofia grow up through carefully curated windows into their lives, official photographs, ceremonial appearances, and staged family moments. Yet within these controlled glimpses, authentic personalities have emerged that suggest a profound shift in royal culture. Princess Leonor's first major public speaking engagement came at the 2019 Princess of Asturias Awards ceremony. At just 13 years old, she delivered a speech in perfect Spanish, Catalan, English, and Arabic, a linguistic display that was both impressive and deeply symbolic. The mirrors of the theater that night reflected not just a teenage princess, but Spain's multicultural identity and international aspirations. Her words carried weight not because of their royal origin, but because of their genuine conviction and careful preparation. The speech revealed something crucial about Leonor's character, an understanding that modern monarchy must earn its relevance through service rather than demand respect through tradition. Her acknowledgement of Spain's linguistic diversity, delivered in those very languages, showed a sophistication that transcended her years. She wasn't simply reciting royal platitudes, she was articulating a vision of inclusive Spanish identity that resonated across regional and cultural boundaries. Sofia, meanwhile, has cultivated a more reserved public persona, yet her appearances alongside her sister reveal a dynamic that many observers find refreshing. Unlike the competitive undertones that have historically characterized royal siblings, Leonor and Sofia display genuine affection and mutual support. Their interactions, glimpsed through the windows of public events, suggest a partnership rather than a hierarchy. Leonor as the future queen, Sofia as her trusted ally and advisor. The mirror of crisis, navigating royal scandals. The transparency that defines this new generation of Spanish royalty has been both blessing and burden. The windows that allow the public to see into royal life also expose the monarchy to unprecedented scrutiny. When King Emeritus Juan Carlos faced corruption allegations and eventually chose exile in Abu Dhabi, Princess Leonor and Sofia witnessed their family's reputation subjected to harsh public examination. The mirrors of public opinion reflected uncomfortable truths about royal privilege and accountability. Yet rather than retreating behind palace walls, King Felipe VI made the remarkable decision to renounce any potential inheritance from his father and strip him of his annual allowance. This move, witnessed by his daughters, demonstrated a new model of royal accountability, one where loyalty to the institution supersedes family loyalty when the two conflict. For Princess Leonor and Sofia, these events provided an early education in the complexities of modern monarchy. They observed how their parents handled crisis with transparency and decisive action, learning that contemporary royals cannot rely on deference and tradition alone. The mirrors of the palace now reflected a family that had chosen principle over comfort, institutional integrity over personal convenience. This experience has undoubtedly shaped Princess Leonor's understanding of her future role. She has seen firsthand that modern monarchs must be beyond reproach, that every action carries institutional weight, and that the crown's survival depends on its ability to embody the highest ideals of the nation it serves. These are heavy lessons for a teenager, yet observations of her public demeanor suggest she has internalized them with remarkable maturity. Through different windows, sisterhood and individual identity. One of the most compelling aspects of watching Princess Leonor and Sofia mature has been observing how they've maintained distinct identities while fulfilling complementary roles. The windows through which the public views them reveal two young women who share values and affection but possess different temperaments and interests. Princess Leonor has embraced the ceremonial aspects of royal duty with apparent comfort. Her attendance at military academies, her participation in state functions, and her growing portfolio of official engagements suggest someone who has accepted the weight of future queenship. The mirrors of formal occasions reflect a young woman who carries herself with natural dignity, who speaks with considered authority, and who seems to understand intuitively the symbolic power of her presence. Sofia, conversely, appears more drawn to the humanitarian aspects of royal work. Her engagement with charitable causes, her obvious comfort in less formal settings, and her apparent preference for behind-the-scenes contribution suggest a different but equally valuable approach to royal service. The windows into her character reveal someone who may shape the monarchy's future through influence rather than authority, through quiet effectiveness rather than public prominence. This division of inclination and temperament recalls the most successful royal partnerships in history, not competitive relationships, but complementary ones where different strengths combine to strengthen the institution as a whole. Princess Leonor's comfort with ceremonial duty paired with Sofia's natural empathy creates a powerful combination for the Spanish monarchy's future. Mirrors of modernity, technology, social media, and royal image. Perhaps nowhere is the transformation of Spanish royalty more evident than in the monarchy's relationship with technology and social media. The mirrors of public perception are now digital, reflected through Instagram posts, YouTube videos, and Twitter commentary. Princess Leonor and Sofia have grown up in this environment, understanding intuitively that royal image is no longer controlled by palace press offices but shaped by viral moments and authentic interactions. The Spanish royal family's social media strategy reflects this new reality. Rather than attempting to maintain the mystique that once surrounded royalty, they have chosen selective transparency. Official accounts share behind-the-scenes glimpses of royal life, informal family moments, and the personal interests of the princesses. These digital windows reveal Leonor and Sofia as real people with genuine personalities rather than untouchable figures of state ceremony. This approach carries risks. Every casual photograph can be analyzed and critiqued, every informal moment can be taken out of context. Yet it also creates opportunities for authentic connection with the Spanish public, particularly younger generations who expect transparency from their institutions. The mirrors of social media reflect a monarchy that is confident enough in its value to submit to constant public scrutiny. Princess Leonor's generation of royals understands that legitimacy in the digital age comes not from divine right or historical precedent, but from demonstrated value and authentic service. They have grown up watching traditional institutions lose relevance through failure to adapt, and they appear determined to ensure the Spanish monarchy evolves rather than becomes obsolete. Windows to the future. Constitutional monarchy in the 21st century. As Princess Leonor approaches her 18th birthday and eventual assumption of full royal duties, the windows into her character and capabilities suggest a future queen uniquely prepared for the challenges facing contemporary constitutional monarchy. Her international education, multilingual abilities, and careful preparation for public service position her to serve as an effective bridge between Spain and the wider world. The mirrors of history show that successful monarchies have always been those that evolved with their times rather than clinging to outdated traditions. The Spanish monarchy under Princess Leonor's future reign appears poised to continue this evolution, maintaining the ceremonial dignity and institutional continuity that constitutional monarchies provide while embracing the transparency and accountability that modern democracies demand. Sofia's role in this future remains to be defined, but early indications suggest she will carve out a meaningful space for herself within the royal framework. Her different temperament and interests may allow her to explore aspects of royal service that complement rather than compete with her sister's ceremonial duties. Together, they represent a new model of royal sisterhood, collaborative rather than competitive, mutually supportive rather than hierarchical. The windows into their relationship reveal something remarkable. Two young women who genuinely like each other, who share values and goals, and who seem to understand that their individual success depends on their collective effectiveness. This dynamic could prove crucial to the Spanish monarchy's future relevance and public acceptance. Reflection and renewal, the promise of a new generation. As Princess Leonor and Sofia stand before the ancient mirrors of the royal palace, they see not just their own reflections, but the accumulated hopes and expectations of Spanish society. The windows around them frame not just views of Madrid, but visions of Spain's future, a nation confident in its democratic institutions, proud of its cultural diversity, and optimistic about its place in the world. The transformation embodied by these two young women extends far beyond questions of royal protocol or ceremonial procedure. They represent a generation that has grown up with gender equality as an assumption rather than an aspiration, with international cooperation as a necessity rather than a choice, and with public service as an opportunity to create positive change rather than merely preserve existing privileges. The mirrors of royal tradition have always reflected the societies they served, sometimes as idealized versions of national character, sometimes as anachronistic reminders of outdated values. Princess Leonor and Sofia represent something new. Royals whose reflections in those ancient mirrors show not the past preserved, but the future embraced. Their story is still being written, but the early chapters suggest a narrative of adaptation, service, and renewal that could secure the Spanish monarchy's relevance for generations to come. Through the windows of their public lives, we glimpse not just the future of Spanish royalty, but the evolution of constitutional monarchy itself in an age of democratic expectations and global interconnection. The mirrors may be ancient, but the reflections they capture are thoroughly modern, images of two young women preparing to serve their nation not because tradition demands it, but because they have chosen to dedicate their lives to the common good. In the end, that may be the most revolutionary change of all, a monarchy justified not by divine appointment or historical accident, but by voluntary service and demonstrated value. As Princess Leonor and Sofia continue their preparation for a lifetime of public duty, the mirrors of the royal palace reflect not just their individual growth, but the transformation of an entire institution determined to earn its place in Spain's democratic future.